Happy New Year, Adeline. Do you have any resolutions?
Just to check out the Robert Bearce episode of Badass Records.
Robert Bearce of the Free Rent Band?
Yeah, check them out on Facebook and your streaming services.
Cool, will do. And Badass Records can be found on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and also the streaming services. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I'm a little rusty, man. It's been, what is today?
Today is the
5th. So it's been damn near a month since I recorded an episode.
Good thing you still speak English.
Because
you could still communicate with me.
But I mean, so that my outreach has just been pulses.
Okay.
You know, like I'll hit it really hard and then all of a sudden I'd back off. And then going into last winter, I found myself in a spot where I was like basically having to turn around and get this week's out for next week, which just fucking blows. It's a lot of 2 a.m. mornings, and then
I edit. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So I going into winter, I was kind of aggressive, and just it stayed through spring, and before I knew it, I was 4 months deep, and I was like, this is great. And then I was like, actually, that's just my perspective.
Well,
some folks might want it out sooner.
Well, I mean, I think the thing about timing within I'm talking about Kansas City limits, like the execution of delivering it with the person that you filmed, like all these artists you have, they're 3 and 4 months out or whatever what your time frame is going to be, to specifically be in tandem with them to let them know when it's coming out. And you know, that helps a lot. Whereas some productions are like, it just launched and then someone's telling you about it.
No. Yeah, right.
You know, you need to have a CD. You need to have you need to make it into a watch party.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And that's what we've tried to do with Kansas City Limits, where we copy and paste the edited link, send it to you, the artist, and then we also make you a co-host on the program where you can edit it and share it with your people.
Cool.
And then you don't share it with anyone until after they've shared it with their people.
Oh.
And the algorithm is this. You have the same people that get bombarded with, check it out, follow me, da-da-da-da-da. Well, when you take a new organic audience and they're being shared for the first time about you, then they're interested. Then this new audience that's already been constantly bombarded by you, they're seeing fresh faces that were a part of that from a new artist.
Sure.
And so that ties into their interest and their curiosity to come back to it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not saying there's a silver bullet to it, but there is some repetitiveness of giving the artist the ability to share it multiple times with their fans and their fan base. And what we've seen is people take the show and we send it to them and they'll chop it up.
Okay.
You know, some question you're getting ready to ask me tonight, I'm going to have a certain freaked out response to. And then that makes a great editorial piece for them just to edit that that sliver.
Right.
And then tie it into something else that they're going to want to share with you.
Okay.
So that's how these guys have gotten more traction, but it's also allowed the stress of having to have, like, when I'm going to launch it or how quick I have to launch it eliminated.
Yeah.
Because then they're waiting on my cue to tell them, hey, I'm getting ready to send this out.
Right.
Versus, and we tell them that, you know, but I mean, we're all volunteers. No one gets paid for anything, just like this, you know. I mean, you know, if you're making money, God bless you. But the real money is some artists that you gave a leg up to, you know, had not so much a discovery. You know, that's the pinnacle. I heard you on a radio show. I checked you out. But really, it may be more about some experience you take from that show.
Sure. Yeah.
That made you think, like, what haven't I done with my music? Why am I not getting enough attention? How am I not affecting more people with what I'm trying to do?
Right.
And that radio show just put a spotlight right up my ass and showed me what I'm not doing right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I will, when I rap with folks, I say, when you have a moment, send me a pic for your episode's thumbnail. And oftentimes, and then I'll hit them up. I say, hey, I'm getting ready to edit yours. Get me that pic. And then when it is out, I send links to you, but I'm also putting it out that day myself.
right on.
So, I mean, it's just what I've done. It doesn't mean it's the right way or doesn't mean anything.
What's your day job?
I'm in sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's something to kick around. I've got a product I'm going to be done with by the end of October called BAMO.
Okay. BAMO.
Yeah, it's bamo.bamoapp.com. I've been working on it for about 4 years.
Okay.
Hundreds of hours to make something so simple. But here's what it works like. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's just say you're a band. Or let's say it's this program.
Okay.
Okay? So you'd pay $10 a month, $120 a year.
Yep.
That's it. You would upload your picture, your logo of your show. You would then click and copy your Spotify link. You would click and copy your PayPal link or however you get paid.
Right.
You'd click and copy your merch link. You'd click and copy your ticket links. You'd click and copy all your social media links. And then you hit save. And then you hit print or download. And it'd give you a QR code that just linked all that shit together. And then like every time you did a show, like our show here today, like before you edited it, you could put that QR code up. And then like whoever scans it from the planet, all they have to do is put in their email address and their zip code. There's no download. And it allows them to tip you, see you, hear you, follow you, buy you.
That sounds snazzy.
And then you, before this show started, or before you launched it, you were able to film like with me. Hey, check us out. Or thank you so much for checking out today with Robert Bearce from the Free Rent and Badass Records. Save. Whoever scanned that code gets that message sent to them 10 or whenever, 20 minutes after the show's over, thanking them for coming and checking out your cast. For bands, they'll be able to save this product and have it in a zip code folder that'll show what night they played where. And then when I'm 3 months out or 2 weeks out or whatever, I can tap you right on the shoulder and say, man, you saw me here in Los Angeles. You bought my shit. You loved me. I'm coming back. Here's $5 off a drink. Thank you.
What's the story behind the name?
BAMO. Like, I believe in superheroes picking up and taking care of people. Just a silly thing about rock and roll in the 90s.
Okay.
BAMO.
Okay.
Band automated motion optimization. Because everyone wants a fan. Everyone wants to sell something. And you as a band don't really have anything to offer to a venue. Like, how am I going to sell you a venue tickets? I'll tell you how. My BAMO customers that scan my code at some other bar, at some other place, are going to get a link telling them I'm coming to play for you at your place. I'm advertising your place before I've even left that parking lot.
Right. Smart.
No one's ever done that for anybody.
Hundreds of hours, huh? 4 years, you said?
Freaking stupid time.
It's cool, though. I mean, I bet you've learned a bunch of shit.
Dude,
Maybe enjoyed yourself along the way?
It wasn't enjoyment about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we did our first Pacific interaction. So a band in the Philippines paid their subscription, uploaded their photo, uploaded all their links, hit save. 2 minutes later, I got their subscription money. Then they showed me in the Zoom call their QR code. I hit their QR code with my phone, and I tipped them back their money. And it all happened within 3.5 minutes.
I missed something. What? You tipped them back?
Well, like, I pretended I was a fan out in the crowd.
Okay.
I pretended to, like, had I been in their crowd with a QR code, then I would be able to tip them, see them,
Yeah.
follow them, or whatever.
Yeah.
So all I did was able to tip them back the money they just put back in my account.
Okay.
So more importantly, the product worked for them setting it up, and then it worked for them receiving a tip,
Okay.
as if I was a pretend fan.
So, but this was a good thing, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it was our Beta Fest Alpha 5, which means that like that's the culmination of your whole product from inception to completion. Now we're just working on cosmetics. Like
you're not totally alone in this.
no, there's a gal named Jess Rezick that helps me that I've
Okay.
known for years. I have another product called More Than a Meeting. So like someone scans a code when they show up to like a networking meeting.
Yeah.
It sends them an itinerary of that meeting. Then, after the meeting's over, it thanks them for coming and tells them when the next meeting is. And if you're a member and you pay a subscription, it sends you a list of everyone that checked in that night so you could follow up with them the next day.
And actually do networking.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's called More Than a Meeting. So I took that knowledge and that text and I created BAMO.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you being here and sharing some of your time with me with everything that you have going on. I think this will be episode 151, Badass Records Podcast. Robert Bearce, welcome. Happy to have you. The Free Rent Band. And my first question was, why does the Facebook page say Free Rent Band and Publishing? Which you already answered. But we weren't rolling yet.
Yeah, that's okay. I want to retain the rights to all of our sounds and all of our words. And so I publish it. I copyright it on inception. I send it straight to the Library of Copyright in Washington, D.C. I pay the copyright per song. I list everyone that helped create the song. They're all on there. And
Cool.
forever and forever and forever and forever, that song will be there.
So Free Rent Band and Publishing on Facebook, but Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and then freerentliveband.com is
Yeah, that website's non-existent. It's not. It's actually a bootlegged website that someone tried to create to help. Long story short, and I don't want to mention their name, but they took our master tracks and deleted them and then put their tracks on top of them and then created their own website and trying to help promote them being the new lead guitar player versus the previous lead guitar player without my permission or my knowledge or anything. And yeah.
Well, I mean, it's right there if you Google. I mean,
Yeah.
Not just a.
No, yeah, but he shouldn't have any songs on there.
No, it was it. I was about to say it looks
Yeah.
like you are just getting it off the ground.
Yeah. Well,
But your contact info is at the bottom.
yeah, he did that as a courtesy because I asked him to shut it down altogether.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and musicians are different in their own right when they feel like they're not getting attention. And this person, I would just say, was a little bit impatient because we were getting ready to cut the album. We're getting ready to cut now with some new songs. And he felt it was very uncomfortable to have the world hear what we had done before and people think that was him when it wasn't because he thought he was better than what was recorded.
Okay.
And again, I won't throw rocks at people because
Yeah.
we're all humans, but I mean, it was very uncomfortable. If you want to hear the whole story, you want to make this into a 2-part podcast. I mean, the reality of it was we had a great practice about 3 or 4 days. We played Voodoo Lounge last year, and he had these postcards printed up that said, basically, we had a previous problem with this previous guitar player, mentioned him by name.
On a postcard?
On a postcard, handed it and laid it down and put it on every table inside a Voodoo Lounge without my knowledge.
Oh, dude.
Dude, totally embarrassing. And then said, I am the new badass new guitar player and I am the epitome of everything. And I'm so badass that
I'm cringing so hard right now.
dude, he said he's so badass that we had to go find a pianist to accentuate his badassness. And that was all on a postcard. And it said, please witness tonight the best version of this band.
Oh, my God. Did you know about it?
I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about the postcard. I didn't even know anything about the website.
But before you took the stage, did you find out?
Yeah, I found out about an hour before, and I had to pull my shit together mentally because I was so upset.
I'm so upset.
I was so.
I can't imagine.
I was so like, dude, I've known you for like 4 or 5 years. I told you as soon as we're done with this show, we're going to go in the studio and start recording a new album. Your name will be all over it. You'll be the lead cock hand in the fucking rooster cage. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I said it. I said it in front of my bands, you know, and one of the people in the bands, you know, that's also not with us anymore, and I won't say that person's name, but you know, she was aware of it, and I just gave it away, didn't I? So this other person,
no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
So this other person was aware of it.
That
What this postcard and that he had created a website and that he had stripped out the previous league. First of all, he didn't even have the mastered tracks, so he just had like previous almost mastered tracks that he had deleted the guitar out of and put his on top of it. So someone else other than me knew about it, and they never mentioned squat about it. And so, you know, it's about an hour before we're taking the stage there at Harris. And I just walked in with the postcard after trying to collect as many as I could. And I walked in and I said, "What is this? Well, I didn't think you'd mind. I thought it was a good idea." I go, "Dude, it makes it look as if we as a band said this, and it also makes it look like we're petty. Like we couldn't get along with somebody, so we had to call them out in front of a group of people we're trying to perform in front of. It was total shit." And so I pulled myself together. You know, I'm not a drug user, you know, by any circumstance. And I've had a problem with the drugs in the past in my life, and I had to pull myself together because it really was going to be who I was going to disappoint, and who I was going to disappoint was going to be my band if I couldn't pull my shit together.
Well, if there were folks there to see you.
Well, there was people to see us. We had about 400 people come see us. Okay. I mean, you know,
yeah.
we had us, the Stolen Winnebagos, and Outlaw Jim.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was a great show, and it was called the Musical Feast. It was right before Thanksgiving. And we got done with that show. And
this is just a year ago?
Yes. And we got done with that show, and a few days went by before we were going to get together again as a band and practice. And so we all got together, and we specifically just practiced a bunch of new songs we've been working on. And it was a great practice. It was an awesome practice. And at the end of that practice, I had just said out loud, I said, "We need a little bit of housekeeping here we have to clean up." And here's the first thing. We know, and I wasn't looking I didn't say anyone's name, but he's right there. And I said, first of all, we know it goes without saying we never, ever, ever print or produce a piece of paper or anything with this band's name on it without us all talking about it. Agreed? Agreed. Everyone else in the band. There's 6 of us total. Agreed, 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 agreed. And then he just kind of looks, all right. And then I looked at him, I go, "Brian, I need a favor from you. I need you to take down that website. I need you to take down that website, and I need you to take your songs off it. That's not the true rendition of the songs we performed. You don't own them. I own them, and I own the name, and you used all that without my permission. So would you do me a favor and take all that down?" And he looks at me, and this guy's fucking weirder than fuck. He looks at me and he says, "Why?" And I go, "Why?" I go, "You didn't ask for permission. That's not us." He goes, "Okay, well, I think that's weird." I go, "Just take it down, okay?" So I was trying to be as cool and calm because I'd rebuilt this band so many times. And, you know, I was just fucking adhering to that. And we practiced in his basement, and we'd recorded a couple albums. And, you know, there. And so I was just trying to keep it cool and mellow. And 2 days later, or maybe a day later, he starts calling each and every one of my band members, trying to recruit them to quit me to start a Steely Dan cover band. And they all say, "No way, Jose." And then he calls me and says, "Hey, man, you got a pretty good band. None of them would leave you for me. You know."
Jesus. How much weirder is this going to get?
Fuck. He thinks he's been alive for 300 years. He tells people that shit, and people don't call him out on it. I said to him, I go, if you've been alive for 300 years, don't you think you would have been done better than what you've done right now?
I mean, or
Come on.
do all this shit in the first 100 and learn from it.
Fuck, I don't know. But anyway, it was so uncomfortable. So as soon as that happened, there was just this decay of what the hell are we going to do again? You know, here we have to relocate. We have to do this. So Steven Smithers, which is probably one of the most badass humans on the planet, he's one of my guitar players. He instantly, as every time something falls apart, he tries to figure out how to fucking fix it. And he says, you know, I'm going to go and I'm going to get together with my wife and I'm going to talk to her and see if we can't move the practice into our garage. So we move it over to his garage and we spend about 2 or 3 months trying to find a guitar player. And, you know, we had some people, some hippie dudes and this, that, and the other, and, you know, and whatever. And we had a lot of young people from high schools that want to just kick it.
Does one just advertise on the internet when you're looking?
No, I went around and put up posters at music shops.
God bless you.
I started calling
Old
people.
school.
Yes. And we put out a small little video ad. But, you know, I had some people, and here's the problem that's been with almost every lead guitar player. You know, it doesn't matter how badass you are. No one plays by themselves.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how many scales you know, or how much smarter you are than anyone else in the band when it comes to you hanging out with your music teacher and your guitar teacher and your guitar instructor. I will tell you the only thing that ever matters is whether or not the other people you're playing feel like you're holding them up and you feel like they're holding you up. Because when you have that, then you have electricity.
Yeah.
Then you have chemistry. And, you know, I lost a really good drummer, Larry, Nanny. I mean, the son of a bitch is just badass. But, you know, he felt like maybe it was his time to change. So he did. And I had to find a new drummer. The drummer I got, you know, is badass now. But guess what? Everyone that had him or talked to him, you know, they said he was a little fast, a little unpredictable, little this, little that. So I told him, I looked him straight in the face. I said, John, I go, you want to play in this band? He goes, oh my God, very much so. I go, don't go any faster than you need to. Look at me all the time. Don't come to practice wasted. And let's try to fucking make something happen. And dude, he's been spot on.
That business.
Yes. You know, and
Time is money.
Time is money, and people want to feel like they're getting somewhere, you know. Half of us drive to Olathe and we all live in Liberty. So we do 2-hour round trip drives.
At least weekly.
Weekly. And then, you know, Hal Kaysen, which has been in our band forever. I mean, the story behind him is longer than life. But I mean, I met him about 35, 40 years ago. I worked with him. We didn't talk for about 16 years, just didn't know where each other was. We found each other on Facebook. He come over to my office because he called me. He goes, you still screwing around with music? I go, yeah, I just finished this album. He goes, really? He goes, I'm going to come over and get a copy of it. He came over, he got a copy of Speakeasy. About 2 weeks later, he calls me. He goes, hey, bring your guitar player and you over to this address, which was a skank-ass address in Independence.
Oh, my God.
I mean, nasty place off of Eastern Summit, if you want to know. And, like, we get there, and we go downstairs, and there's these 3 dudes with him, and they had all learned the songs on my album.
What?
Yes. And so we went down there, and they started playing them to us, and we started playing with them, and the Free Rent band was cosmetically born again.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we jammed that for a while. A good friend of mine named Jim Eaton with Outlaw Jim and Whiskey Benders. I wrote some music with him and talked to him, and I said, I got a song or two for you. I'd like to have you here. And he was like, where you at? And I said, I'm at my office. So with this band, he came over. He heard the album. He goes, all right. And he called me 2 weeks later, and this was 2016 or 15 or 17. It was in the 2000, you know.
Yeah.
And he goes, I want you to open up for me at Knuckleheads in the garage. I said, really? He goes, yeah. And we went and did that show, and that was the beginning of us doing a lot of shows and meeting a lot of people. And I was like, if I could just continue to do this. the bitch of it all were original. So,
I mean, bitch, depending on your perspective.
well, I'm not trying to have you ignore me while I'm singing a song to you. In fact, I'm trying to have you cover us.
Yeah, hell yeah, exactly. Okay, so the best place to keep Pulse on the free rent tab is it the Facebook page?
Facebook, and then Apple and iTunes and Instagram.
Okay,
We touch
okay.
all those. And,
So my math, or I overlooked something. I saw 3 LPs: Speakeasy from 2018, Head in the Clouds 2020, and Driver from 2022. Plus,
there was another album before all that, which was called The First Shall Be Last.
okay, and is it somewhere?
It's on MySpace.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. But you're close-ish to, I guess that would be album number 5.
Yeah, we're getting ready to record it.
Okay.
It's going to be, right now we got 3 in the bucket. I'm trying to allow the band to implement some sounds in their heads,
Cool.
and they've
So
got
it's written.
it's all written. I mean, it's all written, constructed, and we're going to sing them next Wednesday at Knuckleheads.
Okay.
So if you come to that show, you'll hear the new stuff.
And when it's time to record, where will that happen?
Well, Soundworks Studio in Blue Springs will do the final mastering with Andy Oxman out there.
Okay.
And then we have our friend John Levy and our lead guitar player Mike Shipman. They both have studios at their house.
Cool.
So our plan is to plug in there after our show next week and start recording these tracks, get them and send them as a compilation, then have them mixed.
So will you all have to be present, or can people dip in and do their part?
Well, the best thing is electricity of continuity makes it to where everyone's in the same room. We're all plugged in.
Yep.
The only thing we're going to redo is the vocals,
Okay.
and the lead. Usually you can get the bass, the drums, the rhythm guitar. You can usually get all that with your group recording. But then the lead guitar track, which, because you're plugged in independently, mostly guitar players just want to tweak it till they feel like they've knocked it off.
What does that mean, plugged in independently?
Well, like your IDS, you're a direct plug into the studio. You're not plugged into the back of your PA playing through an amp that's being recorded through a mic.
Gotcha.
Although we do that, we'll do both.
That's like taper tickets versus soundboard.
Yes.
In the if you're a live music recording person.
Right. And there's a little bit of stigmatism between capturing lightning in the bottle and making it perfect. If you make it perfect, everyone knows you made it perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like,
well, you go. That's amazing, congratulations, but you'll never be able to replicate that on stage.
Right. Well, I mean, we come pretty close, but I will tell you the real problem is even if you rip it off perfect at it fucking just being raw, no one out there listening to it thinks you made it perfect on that raw recording.
Think you tweaked
They
shit.
think you melodined it and tweaked it anyway.
Motherfucker.
So what does it matter, right?
Right. Yeah.
So if you're going to make it good, and let them be the spectator of it.
So this thing turned 20 this year.
Yes.
Amazing.
20 years.
Obviously, growth spurts and beauty marks and warts and whatever, but 2 fucking full decades.
It's been a lot of counseling in my mind.
Yeah, okay, so I didn't want to stay in that energy of that show.
Right.
But I got it, like, okay, so I didn't, I'm, what is it, October? And I'll be 50 in a couple months.
Hell's bells.
I have not always had anxiety, or I wasn't aware of it, or it feels like it's gotten, worse.
Sure.
With age and I suppose being a parent and whatever.
The concerns of the planet.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, like currently right now, like driving is tough for me because nobody's paying attention and people are either going super slow or they're driving super aggressive.
Sure.
Anyway, when my lid blows and I'm akin to seeing red and as upset as my body will allow me to
Right.
be without just.
Right.
It takes me a good bit to get
to unprogram from that.
Yes, and I feel it mentally and physically. Like, and it's like it's alarming, and it
Right.
makes you be like, okay, what steps do we need to take to not get in that neighborhood again? So, but that's me navigating my vanilla life, doing things. That's not professional me about to take the stage. 400 folks. I'm 15 years deep into this thing. Like, I don't know that it's hard to envision being, shrugging it off and as you said, pulled my shit together. Like, how the fuck did you do that?
Well, you can only worry about what you can worry about, and
Fair.
most of what everything you worry about in your entire life, not putting aside, factual things happen every day. Toaster falls in a bathtub. Oh my God, how'd that happen? Stupid motherfucker was making Pop-Tarts while he's taking a bath. Okay? I mean, factual shit like that happens all the time. But what you have to put in perspective is what can you control and what can you not.
Yes.
Like your kids, for example, because I see your loving nature with them. All you can do is give them the best tools and the best unbiased, a direct approach of information you can give to them, and to tell them at their worst situation, this is what is going to happen. I'm gonna be there for you. There's a phone number. There's other people. All those things. So you can only prep people. Same thing when going on stage. How could I prep anything? Well, people are relying on your mental attitude to convey how they're going to be happy. There was nothing more than sitting myself aside for a second saying, let's just deal with this after the show's over.
Okay, that was my other question.
Yeah.
I assume you had to break down and pack out into your car or whatever afterwards.
Oh, yeah. You do that.
That had to have been. Oh shit! We got through the show, everything, but now
I was still cordial to him, and I was still. He knew what he messed up. He knew. He knows right now to this day, he won't ever say it out loud because he's too arrogant. Any guitar player that's ever left us and sees we're still chopping wood, any drummer that's ever left us, any backup singer, any person that's ever just said, I should be the free rent band lead singer, I should control this or that. Anyone that's ever left for any reason, the reasons are minuscule compared to the enjoyment that I provided to them to give them a platform with no ego involved for them to do whatever the hell they wanted to do as they wanted to do it. There was never, ever a time, this last dude that freaked out, I said to him, I go, when Randy Rhoads, died, and Zach came and took his place, you think Zach walked on stage or talked to Ozzy and said, look, yeah. You're going to have to delete all these other tracks with Randy Rhoads, and I'm going to have to do them and redo them my name, and then you're going to have to re-release them. Well, that's what this stupid son of a bitch wanted to do in the beginning with us when we were going through the transition. I was like, dude, let's just get through this album and then, learn it all. Let's go perform, and then we'll do another album, and your name will be all over it.
P.S. We're not Black Sabbath yet. So
No.
Just fucking pump the brakes.
Right. Calm the hell down. But, people are like that. And, some of it is like that because they're controlling. The other part of it is like, well, I don't want to be left out of the equation. I want you to know you hear my thunder and where I'm coming from. Well, guess what, dude? No electricity ever happens from just one silly son of a bitch that's the baddest ass thing, and then everyone else just grovels to your feet and goes, oh shit, I gotta follow you. That's never happened ever in any band, ever in the entire history of any music playing ever.
How long did, I think it's Mike Campbell, how long did Mike Campbell play with Tom Petty?
About 6.5 years.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, well, that screws my point. But at least for 6.5 years, he rolled with Tom Petty or Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Right.
And they made fucking killer albums.
Yes.
And you know what I'm saying? Like,
it doesn't, it really, The best musicians, I'm going to talk about a guy named Jake Keegan, okay, which is with, he's with Moonshroom,
Okay.
okay? Now, I had never met the guy until I booked him for Briar Fest. But he spent a good, where all the other musicians got their check and scattered because they had other stuff to do. This dude hung out with me for like a half hour watching me, clean trash at the festival and run around. He just was interested in what the whole Robert Bearce thing was. And really, that isn't what I was getting out of it, but what I was getting out of it was a person that was so appreciative that he got an opportunity to play a festival without it being produced by or constructed by a label. It was just a guy that heard him, dug him, and said, man, I'd like you to play. And so there's those artists also, too, with original music scenes. So if you go to Nashville, you go to Memphis, or you go to Austin, or you go to Atlanta, or you go to Seattle, or you even go to Kentucky, and you go to, and Tennessee, you go to all these places, and even parts of Chicago. And you walk in and you say, I'm an original artist. I have an original band. I'd like to play some music. Well, there may be a long line of people like you, but those cities are desiring to hear an original sound that they've never heard before. Kansas City, I love Kansas City. I got the shirt on. I love them greatly. But Kansas City is a lazy audience when it comes to trying to figure out what something new is. They want to hear something old or repetitive. They want to go to the same blues bar. And I love all blues bars, by the way, so don't take this as a poke. But I will tell you this. I can go to 20 blues bars between here and St. Louis, and I'm going to hear the same repetition almost consistently in every bar. I would almost be able to sing the songs to you. I would almost be able to tell you what notes are coming on next in that blues riff because it's so predictable. Now, you take that away and you take the 120 plus cover bands. Every band from Bon Jovi to Twisted Sister, okay? And why are they so popular? Well, they're all talented musicians to be able to duplicate those songs exactly like those bands. But my God, they've been doing it their entire freaking life.
Yeah.
So if I have a good thing to copy, and you're willing to pay me $700 to $2,000 a night to play to all your drunk people, I don't know how I'm going to get ahead as an original artist.
Right. Yeah, when I first shouts out to Jeffrey Calkins, he's the owner of Aztec Shawnee Theater.
Love him.
Came across him because Shane Powers from Sirens in the Suburbs came and did an episode, and I think they were trying to book a show. And so I went and did an episode with Jeffrey and saw his space, recorded there. We did it at...
It's an awesome space.
He's awesome. The place is awesome. But when I first went to the website, I was like, what is going... This calendar is full of cover bands and tribute bands.
Because that's what sells seats. That's what sells seats.
I was like, what in the absolute...
I will tell you...
Bands are coming from...
We had a gig fall out, okay, and a friend of mine set us up to do a show there.
Okay.
We had a 12-day notice.
It seems short.
Totally short. We went in and did it. I think we had 20 people show.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Nothing against him.
Right.
Or that theater.
Right.
But no one had heard about us.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see the Free Rent Band. What the hell's that? And I'm going to pay $15. Who are they? There just wasn't enough time to promote it. But the backlash from us not having enough time to promote it would have really been a key caveat for us to open up maybe for one of these cover bands.
Fair. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And something else that I've been thinking about too, and I threw the idea at a guy that mixes sounds and has a production company. I said, what if just the chorus of my songs was flashed up on the side where you could sing them? Kind of like you see at church.
Yeah.
He looked at me and goes, dude, that's brilliant. Especially with people, because they want to sing with you.
Sure. Yeah.
And if they could take ownership of the song, then they might follow you further, So,
So, again, congrats on 20 years. Origin story with the band's name.
I was in a house in Louisiana. Actually, I was in Mandeville, and it was a stilt home, if you don't know what a stilt house is. And I was there.
Keeps you safe from waters
Yeah.
rising, right?
Yeah. And it was, we were there with John and Roz Ryder were renting the place. And we were underneath the stilt house, me and my friend. We hadn't even started a band yet. And his name was Catfish. His name is Mike Morris. And he said, "What if the song left your head? Never." And I said, "Well, I guess it'd be getting free rent."
Boy, long before that became,
Yes.
the fill in the blank lives rent free in my head.
Yes. Long before Taylor.
Is that
She uses it
She's
in
the
one
one
of her
that-
songs.
okay?
And there's a couple other bands that use it in their
Okay.
songs, but that would have been 2000, 2001.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So that's what that means.
And remind you are born and raised here.
Parkville, actually.
Parkville.
is where I'm from.
Siblings.
3 sisters, no brothers.
Okay, and where are you in the mix?
I'm second,
Okay.
and then twin sisters below me and an older sister above me.
Wow. Were the twins a surprise to everybody?
Yeah, they are. They don't even look at it like anything. Like my sister Julie's like 6'2" and blonde hair, and my sister Lisa's like 5'4" and brown.
Wow. Were there twins somewhere else in the?
Yeah. Like in that side of the family, there's some other twins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. 3 sisters also, but luckily I was the oldest. So.
I would have liked to have had a brother.
Yeah.
And going into music and talking about that for a second. I know how to knit, sew, crochet, cook. I can clean a house. It's because I was raised predominantly by women.
Yeah.
And my grandmother raised me. My mom, especially, was just nurturing and kind to me, trying to show me anything. There was no sexist boundaries in my home. It wasn't like that's a man thing or that's a woman thing. It was just something you did, and
Yep.
did you want to learn it? And if you could do something as well as someone else, it didn't matter what sex it was. It
Right.
was just like, you make better bread than Elisa does.
Right. So how did do you know how your folks met?
Yes, they. It's a pretty cool story. My father's from Macon County, Missouri, and he was in a accident that tore up his knee, and that required someone to check on him and stay with him after that operation, which he had in North Kansas City. And so my grandparents owned a place off of First and Main in Parkville, and my Aunt B rented the apartment above a diner that they ran. And so my father stayed there and got healed up, and then eventually took a job washing dishes in that diner.
I bet there's stories for days from living above a place like that.
Yeah, and he met my mom there, and that's how they met.
Okay.
And they got married and moved to Parkville, and yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did they put on music to listen to in the home when you guys were young?
Yeah, in fact, my dad's record collection is pretty extensive. It's everything from Marty Phillips to Styx to Johnny Cash, and those were a lot of his 45s he had. At an early age, when I was about 8 or 9, my dad had a CB in his truck, and
Break a 1-9 for a radio check.
all that stuff. And he bought me a bass unit with a receiver with a wide antenna. And so on the way home from him coming to work when I was like 9, 10, 11, he would get me on the radio, and then I would play him a song with the mic held over the top of the speaker. We would lay down, and I would play his request on the way home instead of him listening to the radio.
That's rad.
Dude. And then when he got home, he would do this train sound with the PA system that a CB could do.
Yeah.
He'd go,
Nice.
woo, woo.
Nice.
And I knew my dad was home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is his collection still around?
I got it on my record shelf right there, all encased, with the special, little handle thing
Yep.
that comes on. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did mom have her own taste, or whatever dad was
My
into?
mom was Neil Sedaka. Okay. She was John Lennon. She was Kenny Rogers. She was everything. I would say that was Paul Simon and or I'm trying to think of their name.
Art Garfunkel.
Yes, and then she loved the Liberace.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and she turned me into all that stuff. And there was a tie a yellow ribbon around an old oak tree. I can't remember that artist, but she turned me all onto that.
Cool.
And yeah, she was. I have a bunch of her cassettes and stuff. She was always very fun. I started having. I had a lot of friends that didn't have dual parents.
Mm-hmm.
And they would come over and find refuge in my folks' house and basement where I lived. And a few of them started bringing instruments over, and we just started jamming and playing. And my dad had started taking and putting a recording microphone down at the corner of the bottom of the stairs and running it up to a cassette player. And he started recording us jamming in the basement. And my friends came over so often and so prominently, always, all the time. And my parents felt like it was a safer environment to welcome them than it was to discourage them. So I come home one time, and you were talking about the band name, because the other preference to the band name is, I come home, it was probably Thursday afternoon, I come home, and in my basement there's 7 cots. And I said to my dad, I go, what are these for? And he goes, so your friends don't have to sleep on the floor anymore.
Were they already crashing?
They were already crashing there all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, it was really like...
Mom and dad's grocery bill is quietly creeping up because kids get hungry.
They were, but, my dad was strategic. He'd be like, if we had a good gathering and there was a lot of trash and torn up shit, he would start cooking the bacon at about 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. People start waking up, and they come up, want to know if there was some food. My dad would hand them a trash bag. He'd be like, start cleaning. When you guys are done, I'll feed you all. And we cleaned up
the mess
the
that you guys
basement,
made.
the toilets, outside, the yard, wherever.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, I love this idea of the music that we're born into.
Yes.
Like whoever's raising us, maybe it's just in the car on the radio. Maybe,
a lot of sentimental music.
Yeah. Maybe there's a collection of 45s.
Yeah.
But eventually you sort of wander out on your own and start your own collection, or come across a record that mom and dad don't have that you fall in love with.
Sure.
Maybe it's your first purchase. Not necessarily referring to your list. Is there an album that was sort of a first love or a first acquisition?
I think really honestly, the really first, it was a Peter Frampton album.
Oh, okay.
And CCR, those were a couple of my original purchases. And then
nice.
I remember going to the mall, Metro North Mall, and this is 80, 82, 83, and Scandal, I Am the Warrior.
Okay.
I just was like, I got to go buy that. It's in my head,
Yeah.
But I also, though, again, going back to my dad and my upbringing, I grew up pretty basic. I grew up in a four-room house on about a 3-acre piece of property on a home that my father poured the concrete, built the house, and built everything in it except the couches.
Wow.
And so that's how I grew up. I started trapping when I was a kid with my dad.
Trapping
Animals,
but
muskrat, beaver, that sort of thing. I paid for my first car.
up north.
Yes.
You find that? You can find the.
Oh my God! You used to be able to get $20 for a beaver pellet. You used to be able to get, $30 for a coon pellet. You used to be able to get everywhere. 1986,
You have to-
1987. Yeah, you'd have to skin them and pelt them just like Indians. And
then when you get your it's like ready to wear or sell or whatever.
yeah, it's tanned and cleaned, and then you're ready, to
Okay.
take it and you'd sell it. And there was a guy in Liberty that he had a giant, huge vehicle about the size of your studio here, and you would take your pelts up there, and he'd pay you for them.
Was that a thing that you had to get accustomed to? Did it gross you out at first?
It
or-
was really a forced placement of knowledge from my father. That's how he was raised.
okay.
So it wasn't a
Meaning, this is a thing that we do, and now I'm going to take you with me.
right.
It's just a thing.
Like I need you to hold the flashlight. That's when you're 7 or 8, and then you get a little older. You're like, and now I want to show you how to shoot a 22 in case we have to kill an animal. And now this is how you lose a thumb. And if you don't do it like this every time, you lose your fingers.
Is this 3 acres wooded?
Well, I mean, we didn't hunt or trap on that property.
Okay.
It was just like you know where Wrist Lake is? Mm-mm. Well, Wrist Lake started off of 45 and 9 Highway in Parkville.
Okay.
Before all the $500,000 development you see there for houses,
Yep.
we used to trap muskrat there.
Okay.
I mean, and, right there where Pitcher Hill Shopping Center is, that used to be a giant, huge, natural-made creek dam made by beavers. And you could trap beavers there.
Okay.
I mean,
Wow.
yeah, so I mean...
Are there still some around up there?
if you want to get any trapping done, you need to go up towards Edgerton, Missouri, or further.
Okay. Interesting.
We just drove out. It's all developed now.
Yeah. You familiar with the movie Friday?
Yeah.
I saw a meme the other day where the scene where Smokey and Chris, just the two of them, are sitting on the porch.
Yeah. Right.
And they've got beaver heads, and they're damn, and they're looking at a dam that some beavers built.
Oh, that's funny.
What about live music? Did any early or first memories of going to concerts?
Yeah, my very first show was Deep Purple.
Damn.
And I think my very next show after that was White Snake, Quiet Riot, and man, who else was there? I can't recall.
Well,
Municipal Auditorium.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Was the Deep Purple show smoking?
It was so badass. It was so awesome. I will tell you though, my earliest response of going to that, or the ever seeing that show, or being in a space of that many people. Okay. And when you're that young, you don't know alcoholism, you don't know drugs, you don't know heroin,
Right.
you don't know nothing. But I remember just at the end of that show being like, wow, that was just one of the most freaking badass things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I remember a whole bunch of people trying to pick this guy up next to me that had pissed and shit himself.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't really put it in perspective as to why that happened here and what was wrong with him. And oh my God, he missed one of the best shows ever. And that would play superficial into some memories later on when I battled my own addictions.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
About being so far gone you couldn't enjoy what was going on around you.
Man. So my next question is curious at exploring the trajectory that you've had as a musician. Now I kind of have gotten some pieces of that. So you guys have some instruments and some recording capabilities as when you're a kiddo, you're hanging out with your buddies that are coming over.
Yeah.
But that's just for shits and grins, right?
That was just for shits and grins. I didn't get serious into recording until on my own until about 2004, 2005. And then I sought out.
No high school bands, no lessons, no nothing before.
Well, I mean, in high school, I sang in choirs. In high school, I started a band called the Midwest Music Foundation, which is kind of like, it was a prompt up to get you to want to join choirs because we were part of the choir. I played bass. Cody Griffin played guitar. And a guy named Daniel Drake, played harmonica.
Okay.
And so the high school and the school district shipped us off the last 3 weeks of every calendar year to go perform at elementary schools to get them hyped up to come play in choirs. Then I played string bass in a orchestra for 6 years.
Does that mean upright?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I played that for 6 years. And I play a little bit of piano. I play a little bit of guitar. But, whenever someone asks me, play something for me, play whatever, I can play you Happy Birthday and whatever, But, I mean, the people around me are much better than I ever will be.
Okay.
And so, I just really set my sights on arrangement, lyrics, and singing.
Cool. Right on.
Yeah.
KC Limits?
Kansas City Limits.
Kansas City Limits.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Can we look at that for a second?
Yeah. So my friend J.E. Cornwell, a few years ago, he had been doing kind of an offshoot of the program for a while. And then he had met me.
The program.
Through, the Kansas City Limits program, which just like, they would just film a band, they would play, and they were done.
Okay. And
then
it would air.
It would air on Channel 41 or KSHB.
For how long has this
every
been?
other week for like a year.
This is new.
This was like 3 years ago that happened.
It was new 3 years ago.
Yep.
And this is happening. He's doing an offshoot of it.
Yeah. So he reaches out to me to actually play a concert that he was putting together, and the concert got canceled. And he calls me, and after the concert was canceled, he goes, it dawned on me after we got to talk, and he goes, I listened to your voice. You ever done any, radio or anything? And I said, yeah, I've done tons of it. And he goes, would you help me with this show? And I said, what is it? And he told me, he goes, just like Austin City Limits, but it's Kansas City Limits. So I'm welcome to Kansas City Limits. I'm that guy you hear every week. And
you're good at that.
We've interviewed everybody from Head East, the Rainmakers, to Shooting Star, to if everything goes right, we're going to interview hopefully Miss Lethbridge this year.
Okay.
We're trying to, we're going to have our third year. This will be our third season. And it's really just a labor of love.
And it's best place to keep a pulse on that.
KansasCityLimits.tv on YouTube.
Okay.
There's already 98 shows there.
And it's weekly?
It's weekly.
Okay.
If you go there now, if you go there and just check it out, you can see it's kind of like fanning through a book. You can see how it just got better and better and better.
Oh, cool.
It's like Wayne's World to now.
Nice.
So
nice.
it's gotten so much better. So if you like podcasts like the program we're on here, Badass Records, this Kansas City Limits would be right up that alley too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next week's episode is with Bob Walkenhorst.
Yes.
And
you guys are doing him.
It comes out Thursday.
Yeah. We interviewed him.
Nice.
Tell Bob hello.
Well, no, I mean it's already done.
Okay, great.
It comes out anyway. The point being is when we were talking, I said, who besides the Rainmakers and Tech Nine, have sort of been on the KC original music radar, and he said Shooting Star. I was like, oh, of course. And he said, you should, that would be an interesting guy for you to try and get, is the dude from, so after we were done, I looked him up, and somebody went to an old timey kind of looking home and sat on the porch with this dude while he just crushes heaters the whole time. And I was like, that is so crazy. And then I think for one of the Briar Fest.
Yeah, they just played.
With that dude?
Yeah, well, they played with, I don't know who it was that was interviewed.
Bob, when he says Shooting Star, there's a name, and he that is like the, I don't know, front man or the number one guy, and that's who he said you should look for. And so I looked for him and found this YouTube interview, and then I saw Shooting Star on the bill for your thing. I was like, "There's no fucking way that guy just did."
Yeah, the only original member of Shooting Star that's still in the band is the drummer.
Okay, what's his name?
I can't recall.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But That's the only original, and everyone else is new.
Okay.
Now, I want to say Dennis LaFoon, the keyboard player. Now, Dennis has been their keyboard player for 20 years. So him and the drummer are
Yeah.
pretty much the nucleus
Okay.
of that band.
Now,
Yeah.
Briar Fest.
Yeah.
Festivals, because Briar Fest isn't the only one that you've put on, but it just happened, right?
Yeah. So Briar Fest, I started in 2015. We've had everybody from the Fabulous Thunderbirds to Samantha Fish headline it, and the money has predominantly always gone to a local charity. Midwest Music Foundation was the recipient this year.
Which is, what did you call the outfit that you were a part of?
Kansas City Limits.
No. When you would go around.
Oh, the Midwest Music band, the Midwest Music Blues.
Okay, they're
Yeah,
close.
when I was in high school. Yeah, I had nothing to do with that name.
No. But when you said it, I was like, oh, there's a. Anyway.
Yeah, no. So Rhonda Lynn and her team of wonderful people, they run the Midwest Music Foundation, and Midway Blues is what you were referring to.
Okay.
Yeah. But that is a resource for self-employed musicians that need housing, health, and medical, and otherwise.
Yes.
And they're very strategic. They're very important to Kansas City, and
That's where proceeds for your festival are
yeah,
going.
that's where they are going from.
Okay, like, I don't want to ask you how one puts on a festival because I won't be able to.
It'll take us too much time.
I won't be able to retain most of it.
I'm going to
anyway.
write a book about it eventually. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
But putting on a festival, like, there is this: are we gonna eat shit? Are we gonna break even? Are we gonna make money? So
It's hell.
So to put one on and to say proceeds are going to this place, but that doesn't mean that everybody that is featured is doing it for free.
No, everyone gets paid. There's
Okay.
only a few bands that ever opt to do it for free. And proceeds are after you pay for a festival. We don't have huge corporate sponsors or funding. We start off every year with like $500-600, and we raise $70,000 to $80,000.
Damn.
Put on a festival and give whatever's
How?
left over.
How do you raise that?
Shaking hands and talking to people and having conversation. I mean, really it's a belief in itself that people understand that they can do something if they put themselves together. And, this whole Briar Fest thing started out kind of as, can I put a festival together, produce it, and give people some music and get everyone home safely? And then yes. 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 And then next year will be Briar Fest 10. So now it's
Will it really?
It will be Briar Fest 10.
Is this near Briar Cliff? Is that why?
That's where it started. That's where my office was for
Okay.
several years. And they have a nice little place there, the Charles Garney Park. And so we started it there, but we've outgrown it. And now we moved it to E.H. Young Park in Riverside, Missouri.
Okay.
Right next to Argosy Casino. And that's where it was this last year.
So next year will be year 10. Congratulations.
Yeah.
When you're in the thick of trying to launch year 1, was there some unknown, like, we're full steam ahead, but we don't know if we're going to be able to pull it off?
Dude, there's 1,000 things I've learned since year 1. I mean, really the nemesis that's happened, and it's kind of created since COVID, is that, people are wanting to do free things all the time versus things they pay for. And so now you have to be the most badass free thing there is to go do.
Because it comes down to time.
It comes down to where am I going to spend my time?
Yep.
If there's 20 free things to go do, which one of them is the most cool? So you almost have to say, I'll feed you, I'll bathe you, I'll clothe you, I'll take care of everything, I'll give you a week's worth of pay, and I'll let you listen to music, and it's all for free, and I'll take you home and tuck you in and brush your teeth. Well, dude, that'd be the best free thing, right? Great, they'll get all the tenants. But, people are like...
I mean, you skip the hand job, but...
Right, all that's weird,
details.
and that's usually even more than that. But like all these bands, I think that's a weird thing about, spectators versus, artists. None of whatever you hear, even if it's cover music, comes from some dude spending 20 minutes a week. You're coming to hear something for an hour. And let's say I asked you for $20, okay? You're like, I don't know. Look, dude, the guy that you just listened to for an hour just spent 300 hours creating that 1 hour's worth
Yeah.
of stuff for you, and you don't see the value in that. So either you dig it or you don't, or either you're just there because you want to go out and you don't like movies,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
But seriously, in year one, did you launch into it with any part of you going like, I actually don't know if this is going to happen?
Well-
or was there a thing that gave you the confidence, said, oh, this is happening?
You know, there's nothing going on north of the river at that time that was like a festival / come drink some beer and hang out. So that's what gave me the oomph to do it.
Okay.
And then me knowing enough musicians and knowing enough breweries and knowing enough people gave me the confidence to know that we could supply it with enough entertainment that would not
there were
put me off.
20 outfits on that bill?
Well, the very first year we started with 5. This
No,
last year was 27.
Okay, yeah.
27, a different band every 45 minutes, and we were 6 months late in the entire 2 days at any given point one time.
6 months late.
6 minutes is what I mean. So
Oh.
we were only delayed 6 minutes getting people on stage one time.
Oh,
So we were moving like a sewing machine.
damn.
Dude, and people are like, you know, all these bands and these band managers are like, don't think you're giving enough time. I don't think. I go, it's plug and play. Tune your instrument in the parking lot. Okay? I mean, this isn't practice up here.
Are you having to deal directly with all of the artists?
I book them all.
You don't have a team?
No.
Or an assistant or an intern?
No.
Okay. We're keeping tabs on Briar Fest for folks listening. What's the best place for that?
BriarFestKC.com. BriarFestKC.com.
Okay.
And you'll see the last lineup. If you go to the Facebook, you'll see all the pictures. There's like 3,000 pictures up right now of the festival.
Wow.
Yeah, we had great weather. We had great overall feedback. What we didn't have again was attendance that we needed. We had about 500-600 people show up. When I do it for free, last year 2,600 people showed up. So I think we're going to go back to free. And the city of Riverside's been very, very helpful. And I'm going to hope that they might be able to get involved more on the infrastructure expense side of things. And then that'll help lead us to maybe having like a Chris Stapleton or,
Sure.
or
Yeah.
someone like that,
Am I wrong in thinking that you have put on other festivals too?
Yes. So, other festivals, food festivals, county festivals, all those were, though, a prerequisite to put on Briar Fest.
Okay.
And the BBPA.
Training wheels, if you will.
Yeah, and the BBPA, the Briar Club Business Partner Alliance, it's a networking group. But I sat on the boards of other networking groups. And so we have the BBPA has 33 networking meetings a year. A coffee, a lunch, and an after hours.
Wow.
And all that money goes towards these events. We do a thing in July called The Bite, which is a food sampling event we just did at the Parlor. We just did Briar Fest, and we're getting ready to start planning for the Holly Jolly Jackpot Party. And that usually is a trip where we send someone to Vegas, and we raise money for Toys for Tots.
Cool.
So, but everyone likes music, and music fits into all those things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being here and for sharing a list with me. I want to get into it, but I also got to hit the washroom one more time.
Hit the washroom.
Are you good? All right.
What you got? What you got left?
So, what do I got left? We go to your list, and I just run through them chronologically.
Okay.
So, takes us back to 1971. Led Zeppelin IV.
What would you like to know?
So this is 4 of 9 for them, 8 tracks, 42 minutes, an iconic record. My intro for sure. In the I've gotten a few albums, but now I'm getting riding my bike to the mall with my money, and buy. And so my actual first trip was to buy Led
That
Zeppelin
album.
4 on cassette, and I had a little extra,
Right.
so I didn't know what I was going to wind up with.
You bought Heart,
I ended up buying
Boston.
Nope. Innocent Man, Billy Joel.
Oh yeah, that's a good hit too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's got Uptown Girl and Innocent
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
Anyway, so we would need a whole other episode for me
Sure,
to talk about
sure.
this record, but talk to me about it for you, please.
When the levee breaks,
Okay.
you know being brought up in Johnny Cash kind of and then blues and harmonica kind of world, and my grandfather played harmonica, and I really was sheltered from rock and roll, and then I started spending a little bit of time reading about of all things, my father was a millwright, and one of the things he says you ought to look at being an engineer, and then I looked up Corps of Engineers, and then I figured out how important they were to try to help circumvent flooding and loss of land and everything. So then here was this band doing a song about when the levee breaks. And the thing about that song, Muddy Waters and B.B. King, they've done variations of songs where dams are breaking and flooding. But really the despair of knowing that it's going to happen and the climax that is built into that song is what makes that
Gotcha.
so
Yeah.
freaking epic.
It does.
Yes.
This is got my shit. I'm riding back, and then the funny thing about this story is that I'm at my dad's for the weekend, and he doesn't have a bike, and I didn't think to bring my bike, but I got to get myself to the mall.
Right.
So I rode his wife's. I mean, just
10-speed little.
it-
They're better. You won't hurt your stuff.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, it had the the triangle seat with the springs.
Yes.
It was a big old frame, so I just looked like, a goofball. And then of course, I got to get back,
Right.
and get everything unwrapped and into my Walkman. So
Into the Walkman.
when you hit play on this record in the late '80s and a cassette with player with headphones, you're going to get a little bit of hiss because it's a cassette.
Yeah.
But then the way that they open Black Dog,
Yes.
you get kind of that crackle, grainy, and then you get that
Yes.
before "Hey Hey Mama," and I was like,
Hey, mama.
before those words come out of his
Yeah.
mouth, I was already like 6 different. What's going on? This is crazy. This is nuts.
Right.
I took it, so Black Dog and Rock and Roll are great openers. I didn't really appreciate, you said Heart. I didn't ever appreciate the Battle of Evermore until the sisters covered it
Yes.
for the single soundtrack
Yes,
many
yes,
years
yes,
later.
yes.
But Levy, I mean, I knew Stairway, right?
Sure.
And then you got Misty Mountain Hop, Four Sticks, going to California.
That's a great song.
The way the trailing off of his voice.
Yes. There was a whole group of artists in the late 90s that redid a whole bunch of Led Zeppelin songs. I'm trying to remember the name of that band or the name of that album. But the California remake of that on that was so epic, and I'm trying to remember. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
And it was
I
like
do.
it had everybody, it had everyone,
Yeah.
it had they picked out their own favorite, song and did it. But on there, that song's badass. I'll tell you another one too. When Misty Mountaintop.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't really a bad song on this album.
No.
This was an album like if you scored gold by like ever not getting bored with it. You're like, play it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
In 1971, I had just come out of the fetus. I'd been about a year old.
Okay.
know,
So you got 3 years on me. Is that the math there? 1 year later,
1 year later,
Eat a Peach,
Eat a Peach.
Allman Brothers Band.
Man, can we save some people? Can we take music and get ready for an epic moment in our life, and then survive a climatic disappointment of a death of our freaking brother?
Yeah.
I mean,
and then again.
And then
a
again,
year and 10 days. I mean,
it's just a repetitive, painful punch.
yeah. So this is 72, 4th of 18, 10 tracks, 68 minutes. We go from the UK to Jacksonville, Florida. Another epic, epic album. How'd this one, A, land in your lap, and B, earn a spot on your list?
Well, 1972 when this came out again. I mean, I hadn't. It's later on that I heard about it,
Of course.
And I was getting the closest thing that I was allowed to listen to in rock and roll growing up Southern Baptist was really just ragtime blues, jazz, and country. And those kind of offset genres with no words. We're not speaking words, and we don't want to give you any power to go against authority. But the Allman Brothers, they almost gave off more of a folk presence. My grandfather was from Arkansas, and he had said to me, "You ever heard the Allman Brothers?" I said, "No." He goes, "What do you listen to?" And I said to him, "I've been listening to Styx." He said, "You need to listen to Allman Brothers." My wife currently is an Allman Brother freak.
Right now.
Right now,
Okay.
yeah, Amy. And the thing about Eat a Peach is, Greg said every time he goes to his home state, he's going to eat a peach and hope that there's world peace. But that was also brought at a time where they were also playing a couple of shows. They played 1 or 2 shows with CCR. And we also had, just a few years before that, the culmination of obviously Vietnam and Woodstock. So there was this real, what can music be better than, what can our message from music be better than us? And that's what I got from. Plus they were borderline hippies, and I didn't know what hippies were, so it was like, so these folks are country folk alternative hippies,
There's so many riffs on that record that should be an audio inclusion of the definition of hippie. It just fucking right in there.
Anyone that gets I used to think it was Peter Frampton, but anyone that's born in the United States should just get a copy of this album. It comes with it goes with birth certificate.
No,
Eat
your
a
birth
peach,
certificate is scotch taped
yes,
to a copy of this record.
and some diapers.
Yeah.
There
Hey.
you go. That's all you need.
Okay. I mean, so many good riffs. I mean, and it's tough to.
And it feels good when you're listening to it.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like the I don't want to single out the guitar, but it is pretty forefront mix wise. I know there's plenty of keys and the drums and the bass as well, but the some of these guitar licks really just carry.
Greg and Joyne both were. If you read anything about their recording process and how they sat and listened and then played and listened, they were relentless and they were very picky about themselves. They were not that recording and their recordings. There wasn't. I don't recall ever reading anything where it was a one and done. We captured it.
Right.
There was a whole lot of let's do it again. Let's do it again. And you and I were talking about that a little bit earlier. There's a fine line between capturing it where it's perfect, which we have the ability to tweak now, and in a regard, we could do a song 3 times and make it perfect.
Yeah.
In their day, back in their day, they didn't have that luxury.
No. You're on somebody's ponying up for time.
Yeah, and that ADAT or that track or those reels. So you want me to rewind this? You want to do this again? Yes.
Ching.
Yes. So, there was a different thing. So not only did they have to be crucial in executing their recordings, but there's also sincerity that came out of it to like, I got it in one take.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of one takes in here, but they didn't know they were the one takes.
Yeah. The name is escaping me. I want to say Smoke, but I'm not positive. There's a late 80s, early 90s film with Jason Patrick from Lost Boys. I'm not sure what else he would have been in, but he and Jennifer Jason Leigh co-star, and he's an undercover cop, and he's using to be part of the role, but they're trying to nail this A1A kingpin,
Right.
And Greg plays that dude.
Oh, really?
And it's a really good fucking movie. I get goosebumps right now. And he doesn't maybe have but a few appearances and says very few lines, but when he's on the screen or people are talking about him, it's fucking sinister. And so when you do, he shoots a look at somebody, or he does a gesture where
Right.
he lets somebody know that they got it coming. I was like, oh my God, this guy's a savage. Anyway, when I remember the name of the film, I'll shoot it to you.
Yes.
But I love that record. So this is fun because we go from two I knew like the back of my hand before I saw your list to first time listens. And the first is a stop in 2006, American 5, 100 Highways, Johnny Cash, 60 of 69 for the Man in Black, 12 tracks, 42 minutes, and Kings, let's see, Kingswood, I forget, Arkansas is where he comes from, but this is 5 of 6 in the Rick Rubin American series, which feels like is a really cool notion for a lot. It's cool that they teamed up. It's cool that it like bumped his career, but and I loved this record, but there's so much sadness.
It's at the end of Johnny's life. So there's this album, there's Americana 1, Americana 2, and Rick Rubin's or Ted Rubin's produced them both. There was really a prodding from people to get him to want to meet with Johnny Cash to do this, and Johnny was a little bit reluctant to try to create anything new.
So there was reluctance on both sides.
I think there was, from what I read, Johnny's desire not to want to not record, but not having something new to record, and then Rubin's twist of let's play some songs everyone's familiar with in your voice, and your sound and your texture. There's a 9 Inch song on here. There's a Howlin' Wolf song on here. My favorite song is, God's Gonna Cut You Down. And, when you hear that song and you think about Johnny's life, Johnny had a pretty good life, and most of Johnny's own self-destruction was Johnny's self-destruction. Johnny turned himself around, got off of a barbiturates, stopped doing Black Betty, started recording. He struggled with alcohol for about 2 or 3 years, went to rehab a couple of times. His wife got him straight and got him on the forward. And, then he had a successful career. He the Highwayman, Chris Christopherson, which we just lost recently.
R.I.P. in peace, yeah.
Yeah, Willie's still going. Johnny Cash was part of that. And then we're missing one more there. Who's the fourth one I'm missing?
It's not Waylon.
It is Waylon.
It is Waylon.
It
Okay.
is Waylon.
Okay.
And, so when I hear about, Johnny, although Johnny didn't have anyone to cut down or that maybe screwed him off or did him wrong, when I hear that song, it gives you a temperament of thinking that it really doesn't matter what you get accomplished just telling someone how you feel or what they did to you wrong. It's okay because God's going to cut them down. And, Taylor and karma, karma's never not been more of a constant word in the last 5 years as it has been from Taylor Swift. And, karma's always been in other people's verbiage, but we really haven't given it kind of a satellite introduction platform to virtually allow us to back off from hating you so much that I don't need to take care of this, because you know what? Karma's going to get you. And if you don't believe in karma, God's going to get you. And you might run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta.
Man, I didn't look at the years, but I know this being 2000. This is posthumously released, but Hurt, when he did Hurt,
Yes,
it was kind of close to the time that this comes out, which has obviously got some sorrow in it. But I mean, not just his voice; it's like the tone of the instrumentation is also. And I don't mean it's a great record, but it's like a wave, man. Like
it's a downer. I mean, it's but
I'm glad they did it, and he was making music.
well, I mean, the other thing too is like he was. I mean, he wasn't, paying homage to those artists, but I think those artists, Nine Inch Nails and some others, and Jane's Addiction and some other songs he captured and redid. I mean, those artists, they appreciate the hand up from a god of music, which is Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you covered my song.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it don't matter if it was sad or whatever, in the context of it. I saw Nine Inch Nails at their last North American show at Bonnaroo in 2017. And, they had said, 2007, I'm sorry. And they had said, like, this will be our last show. We'll never be back. We're breaking up. And then, like, 2 years later, Johnny Cash does a song or two of theirs.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the Gordon Lightfoot cover.
Yes.
Was I liked them all, but I was like, God, this is.
It's nice that you brought up Gordon Lightfoot's name. I mean, that dude.
He was the best. I spent a quarter of my life trying to chase down. It's not. That's. Sundown never. You know that tune? But I thought it was John Prine, so I was fucking buying John Prine records, being like, why can't? And I was like, God damn you, Gordon Lightfoot.
Yeah, I know the song. I'm trying to think of the words for it too.
Sundown,
you better come home, but when you get
me creeping round my
back
door.
Yeah, it almost. I originally thought it was like a Cream song.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, this is a good listen, but the biggest surprise for me, or treat, should I say, was In Time, the Mavericks from 2013. 7 of 13, 14 tracks, 56 minutes. Miami, Florida, for their origin, with some Kansas City connections. Initially, that first track's a fucking killer.
Yes.
And I'm like, this has got like some mamba salsa, like Gypsy Kings kind of energy, but
yes,
it's like that. You mash that with Traveling Wilburys, and I was like, I'm not even sure that's. And then I was like, oh, he's a fucking huge Roy Orbison fan. No wonder I was getting Wilburys.
Yes.
So, who are the Mavericks, and why is this record special to you?
Man, I tell you, Frank Hicks, the guy that owns Knuckleheads, turned me on to him. Yes. So
we were this close, and finally he was like, none of those dates work. Oh. And I was like, well, can you just pick one and I'll make it work? And that was the last I heard. That was over a year ago.
Oh, wow. Well,
so, Frank Hicks, I'd still love to have you.
I want to see him on Wednesday. So, Frank, about 4 or 5 years ago, turned me on to the Mavericks.
Did he really?
Yeah. Okay. And he said, he goes, you heard this band? I got them coming. They come every Memorial Day weekend. And I go, who are they? They go, they're the Mavericks. And I said, what are they like? And he goes, they're salsa, Cajun, rock, blues, and all that.
So I'm not off. I'm not.
No, you're not off at all.
I love that salsa was lit first.
It's Zydeco, salsa, Cajun, blues, salsa, rock, And I would say a little bit of twist of, some Americana with like a Dave Matthews kind of vibe in it.
I would say
Yeah.
that about 6 or 7 tracks into this record, I was like, I got it. And then the next track, I was like, I don't got it.
No.
They fucking pivoted.
My favorite song is Unto Me.
Okay. What number is that?
It is number 4.
Okay.
It's number 4. And the reason why that song is so freaking badass, I was in a situation where, you're measuring the future and you're measuring your past, and your past can't always dictate your future. But there was definitely a feeling of how I had to let some things go, and I had to just step off of that. And that song at Knuckleheads 2 years ago, when there was just wall-to-wall bodies, and everyone is singing that song out loud with all their heart.
Seriously?
Like they've known it their entire life.
Wow.
And that feeling was so powerful that it was like, and like if you listen to it, it don't matter when you listen to it, or how you listen to it, it just makes you feel happier. And if you read all the words to it, it's about, if you are so far alone, and you are so far gone, and you are so far sad, and you are so far away, stop all that and come to me today. So come to me.
Yeah.
Unto me. Unto me you will have happiness. Unto me I will apologize. Unto me I will not discount you.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they've got, a dozen others. Have you stuck a finger down that rabbit hole? Or
I've listened to all of it, but this album, the In Time album, I would have to say is their best album.
Okay.
And I would also like to say that seeing them live, I've seen them at a half dozen places, but the best place I've ever seen them has been at Knuckleheads.
Okay.
I saw them at Ozark Amphitheater. I saw them at Crossroads. I saw them at some other places. Just the ambiance and the magic that comes from having them, just so it's like they're singing to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, great lists. A lot of fun listens in there. Thank you. I usually hammer you with a few goofy questions, and then we'll wrap and get you out of here.
Go ahead.
Okay. So if we can pretend or imagine that we all have a personal and a professional bucket list, you're given all the necessary resources, no strings attached, to go knock out number 1 on both. What are they?
On a personal list?
A personal bucket list and a professional bucket list.
On a personal list, I just want to see my efforts accumulate to someone else's benefit.
Cool. I love it.
And then on a business side of it, if music is business in any degree, I want to see Bammo take off to help musicians.
Heck yeah.
And I want to see the Free Rent Band chart.
Nice. Great answers.
Yeah.
You get to have lunch with anyone of your choosing, dead or alive. Who are you choosing and why?
George Carlin, probably.
Oh, my God. Excellent.
He is a fucking funny son of a bitch.
Absolutely.
He would definitely allow you to put everything in perspective. That's fucked. This isn't.
Yeah.
Where you go?
Yeah.
So George Carlin, and another, as far as an entertainer or a person, Jay Leno.
Okay.
He's met everyone. He's talked to everyone. He's had great success. Success that he didn't think he was going to have, and I think those
Shit, he was a fucking stand-up.
I know, but if you ever read if you ever talk to him about where he thought he was going to go and what he thought he was going to be, he never thought he would be what he was now.
Well, there's something to be said for somebody that goes and does that first open mic.
Yes,
You might eat shit in your debut.
Right.
You might eat shit 100 times.
Right.
And then one day people want you. They want to see
Sure.
it. And then all of a sudden that parlays into taking over for Johnny Carson.
It's kind of like music.
Fear Factor. You remember this television show
Yeah.
where you got to do all the fucking challenges?
Sure.
What would be the absolute worst Fear Factor scenario for Robert Bearce to have to take part in?
Bobbing for chicken wings in a deep fryer.
That's turned on?
Yes,
Well,
dude.
Did they do that on that show?
They did it on Saturday Night Live.
I mean, that's absurd. You just automatically burn your face. And
Dude, I don't know what you do. I was just saying, like, that would
Okay,
be the worst
okay,
thing.
Fair enough. Are these whole chickens that were bobbing?
Little
for?
chicken wings.
Wings. Gotcha. Okay. All right.
And they're hot.
Yeah. You're given the ability to visit your past self at any age.
Sure.
You're choosing. What age are you choosing, and what are you saying?
Oh, fuck, dude.
You're just This is not like cloaked in regret. You're just visiting yourself and maybe have a couple words.
When I was 16,
Okay.
you know, I would, I wouldn't have blamed myself
Okay.
for some friends dying.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
My very first song I ever wrote was called "Stay Strong," and it was after my friend jumped off a high school gymnasium, and he told me he was going to do it, and that's really what altered my whole entire life. Up until that, I was a jock, had short hair. After that, I grew my hair out and partied my ass off, and
Ate a peach.
I ate a peach more than once.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Please complete this for me.
Yes.
The world would immediately become a better place in which to live if only.
We could just be kind to one another.
Hey, that's all dope. All dope answers. I particularly like that last
Ding,
one.
ding, ding.
Yeah. So Free Rent Band, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. There are 3 albums visible on
The planet.
which we touched on earlier, and we're keeping our eyes peeled
For
number 4.
Yep.
The Facebook page, which is Free Rent Band and Publishing,
Yep.
is the best place for folks to keep
Yep.
tabs, gigs,
Yep.
releases.
Events, all that stuff.
Is there anything that you had hoped that we would cover that we did not?
No, you've been so kick-ass. I want to
Thanks.
say Blair Johnson here at Badass Records
Thank you.
has
Now,
you're being a great voice to musicians.
thank you. Before we were rolling,
Yep.
not only did we touch on number 4 for Free Rent, but there was mention of a side project, and you gave me a couple of bars.
Yeah.
Feel free to say no, but do you want to touch on side project and give me those bars again now that we're rolling, or do we want to just call it a day?
No, we can do that real quick.
Okay.
So the Free Rent's got 3 or 4 songs. I wrote a whole bunch of songs a couple of years ago with my friend Walt Chambers, and they steered more into the chapter of country. So I thought I would steer into that direction. So I'll lay you a verse chorus on one song and a verse chorus on another.
Okay.
So here we go.
All right. And this is a project that it will also be available to folks at some point.
Yeah, I'm hoping to by the end of January you'll be able to check it out. So
Okay. Verse chorus, track 1. Verse chorus, track 2.
I flew from Juniper to Warsaw. I met some folks. They knew it all. They cast a spell around themselves. Gave up nothing and kept all their wealth. They run through stop signs and red lights too. They often think yield applies to you. You slow them down from what they can do. You hold them close, asking them to be true. You sat right down and had the same damn song you said Make it tall, I don't have too long. Tell me where I'm going and where I've been, how I'm doing and how I'm way. So that's one new song we got coming out.
Fantastic. You say we.
It's just me in my head.
We all get together and work on this shit.
Yeah.
All right.
This next song is called Lost in Austin, and I wrote it coming back from Nashville. And I asked my wife, I said, get out a napkin or a piece of paper or something. She goes, why? And I said, because I got to have you write this down or I'm going to forget it. So I might finish the whole song on this one, but it goes like this. It got dry in Nashville, right in Memphis. My heart was worried if it was right for this. Being okay with just a day and not worrying about the end. So we got lost in Austin, found that place again, pretending to be free. All this time, just waiting there, waiting for you and me. An answer for a question for an answer. Only asking for a friend. You gotta put out the fire that's burning you. You gotta put out this fire, it's burning you in two. You gotta put out the fire, it's burning your book and your pages too. You gotta put out the fire, this fire that's burning you.
Awesome. I love it. Very good stuff. Robert Bearce, appreciate you. Talk to you soon.
Badass Records. Thanks, Blair.